Hello and welcome to this tour of the Alice interface. Every Alice project takes place in something called a world, which is really kind of a stage on which you place actors, which we'll refer to as objects. And very simply put, you start with a world, you place your objects or actors on it, and then you give them commands to do things. Now it can get a lot trickier than that, but that's the basic idea. Let's start with a new world. Use File, New World, and Alice gives you a number of environments to choose from, and we'll just choose the grass for now. Now we want to put an actor on our world, so we'll click on this green button, Add Objects, and this is a kind of setup mode for your program. So let's go to the top here, our local gallery. Well, you start out with home, and then you have a local gallery and a web gallery. The web gallery is bigger, but it takes longer to access. So let's use our local gallery. And we have a number of collections of objects with various themes. We'll choose animals and scroll over. I like penguins, so we'll choose a penguin. To place the object, you can double click it or you can drag it onto the screen. And I'm going to drag it here. And we get a wireframe that shows us where the object is going to be placed. By default, the bottom of the object is placed on the surface that you've chosen. So as you can see, I can drag it left and right. As I push it back and forth, the cage shrinks as I move it backward in perspective. And when I let go, the object is placed. Now, by clicking on the object, I can move it around, and when you're actually dragging the object, the mouse cursor doesn't show. But see, now forward and backward it changes perspective, and then left and right. Okay, let's close our object placement session. And just to show you how it works, I will create a very short program just to move the penguin. So up here we have the world, and we have the collection of objects in the world, and among those objects is our penguin. So we click on the penguin, and down here we see various things the penguin can do. And I'm just going to move it. To write a command, all you do is drag and drop onto your programming surface here, and you get a menu to further specify the direction. So we're going to move the penguin forward 5 meters, and that's it. That's a program. Now let's play the program. Come up here and click, and we see the penguin move forward. Let's run that again. Okay, so that's a very simple program. But in the rest of this video, we're going to talk about how to set up your initial scene. So we'll go back to object placement mode. Okay, the first thing I'll point out is that objects can be given commands while you're setting up your scene, as well as in a program. If we look at the object methods, methods are basically commands that you can give an object. Every object has a certain set of commands, or rather all objects have certain commands that they can obey, which is move, turn, roll, resize, and so forth. If you see this button here, Create New Method, you can add additional capabilities to an object. And the penguin has a number of special things it can do, and all of these things are editable. But anything below this Create New Method button are commands that any object will obey. And it's those universal commands that you can give to an object while you're setting things up. And the way you do that, you right-click on the object and go to Methods, and here's all the things the object can do uh, directly as you command it. So if I want the penguin to move forward 1 meter, I just click it and it moves. And while you're learning these commands, or when you're experimenting with your setup, it's useful to keep in mind that we have the undo. So if we don't like what we ordered the penguin to do, we just click undo and it moves backward. Let's try another one method. Let's say penguin penguin resize. We'll make it twice as big so we can grow that penguin. And once again undo, we return to where we are. And undo has multiple levels, so if I want to do a couple of things, let's roll the penguin left 1/4 revolution, and it sinks into the ground here. So let's next resize it and make it twice as big. Oops, I had selected the ground there. Did you see that? And the ground grew instead of the penguin. So I made a mistake, so we'll just undo that right away. Now let's reselect the penguin and we'll grow it. Okay, and now if I want to get back to where I was, I undo, undo again, and there we are. One more thing, every object has a center, and that center is not necessarily the center of gravity. In fact, for things that rest upon the ground, the center is generally at its base because that center is positioned on the ground. You noticed when I rolled the penguin, it did not roll around its belly button, if you will, but it rolled around its center, which is right between its feet. Whoops, I turned it upside down right into the ground, so I'll undo that. So that's something you need to keep in mind. Okay, so to set up a scene, you drag objects into your world, and you can either position them with the mouse or give them commands. You can also set properties. We'll worry about that a little later.